Tomorrow will be better. I always tell myself, you've tried to pull me down under the ground. What do you think? Why don't you sink under the water? So what do you see in the illusion in your head?
So makeup, that's why we're here today. And you can't see much of it, but I have a fair bit in front of me. So I'm going to be playing with it today because recently 2 of the most prolific YouTubers came out with a makeup line, and they were Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star. And I absolutely love Jeffree Star's formulas. I've used his liquid lipsticks and his palettes and his Skin Frost before, and they're amazing. And I love Shane Dawson. I have for years and years. He's such an inspiration for people. So everyone was like, need this palette. It was released in America at 10 a.m. PST, which in Australia, in our time zone, was 4 a.m. I got up at 4 a.m. to get makeup, and I don't regret it. I don't regret it, camera 2. I really don't. It was fun. So I did manage to get it. I got it from the Morphe store because Morphe has an outlet in Australia. So I got both the Mini Controversy and the Conspiracy Palette. So that's what I'm going to be playing with today. So I'm still not sure what kind of look I'm going to do today, but I am going to do a look with these palettes and see how it turns out. I'm just going to do my normal everyday-ish base and then focus on the eyes as the fun part. And once we get there, I will see what we can come up with, and I'm really excited. The first thing I do is like put my hair back, because it may not look like it, but it is very thick and it gets in the way of everything. The way I do my makeup is not the correct way or the right way or like any way except for my way. This is how I like to do my makeup and just express myself, because I don't do it for nobody but me. Camera 2, camera 1. So what I like to start off with is primer. Because as we all know, it is a crime not to prime. So what I usually start with is the Smashbox, the original Photo Finish, Smooth and Blur. But this one is really nice. It's kind of similar to the Professional from Benefit, but this one is clear and it's not as thick in a way. A little bit goes a long way. So what I like to do is get a little bit, maybe like a pea size on my finger, and then rub it in to warm it up. And then this is very much a blurring, so you focus it on the areas that need blurring and pore filling. So that's my T-zone, which is where I get a bit oily, and then you can just spread the rest out. Yes, Abby, T-zone. Then pull it out across the rest of the face just to have a very thin layer. You do not need a lot with this one. And then the second step that is possibly one of the most important for us here in Australia, sunscreen. And this one is from Mecca Cosmetics. This is the To Save Face SPF 50 Plus sunscreen. So here in Australia, if you live here or if you have visited, you will know it gets real here. It gets hot and the UV is not our friends. So we protect ourselves. It is a sunscreen and it is SPF 50, but it's also a makeup base. So it is really lovely. It's really smooth and soft and doesn't feel sticky or heavy. It just feels really, really nice. You could do it with a brush, I'm sure. I just like to do it with my hands because, you know, it's sunscreen. And that's the best way to kind of distribute it evenly over the face and down the neck as well. Never forget your neck. Never forget the back of your neck. I'm not doing that today because I'm not planning to go outside. But when I go to work, I do a lot of work outside, walking around, and I never ever do it without having sunscreen on. It is so, so important because I'm pale and I burn really badly. So this is just like a great way to protect the skin, and it also is enriched with vitamins and minerals, so it just helps protect and rejuvenate the skin as well. And it's a nice, slightly tacky base, so it really helps makeup like stick and sink into it. So I can highly recommend this one. Oh, by the way, Nothing in this video is sponsored, nothing was sent to me. So I bought all of this with my own money, hard-earned coin, you know, represent independent woman who is in a very loving, committed relationship as well. It's great. But for now, this one was entirely sponsored by me because I bought everything. So moving on. This step is not necessary for a lot of people, but it is for me because I have quite bad dark circles under my eyes. So what I do is I take, this is called Skinfood Dark Circle Concealer, Salmon Dark Circle Concealer Cream, and it's from Korea. I got this in Korea, and what it is a salmon or like peachy kind of tub, and I really love to just put this on underneath my eyes, and that really just cancels the blueness of the circles under there. Oh, but first, I really love doing concealer and foundation with a beauty blender. And I give my little blender defender to keep it nice and clean and safe. But I need to wet it first. Pretend we're in a kitchen. Oh, one of my friends had a beauty blender for so long, but she never knew you could wet it to make it go easier. So the first time I did it for her, she was like, what? She was like, this is so much better. I'm like, so she's never gone back. So you can dampen your beauty blender, which I'm sure everyone knows now because a lot of people, if they don't know beauty blender, they'll know some kind of makeup sponge. So what I like to do is I just go in with my little pinky. That's what I say for finger. Just get like a tiny little bit and then just really spread it out over those areas that need a little bit of help with dark circles. So then I just go in with the tip of the blender, just the tip, and blend that out. Camera 2. Yeah, and like even then, you can see a tiny bit of the peach undertone. I'm hoping it helps just with those really dark circles, which I will have especially today because my cats woke me up at 4 a.m. to get food because they're sassy. So now that I have done that first little layer of concealer, a nice little trick I like to do to keep just everything clean is get just a normal makeup wipe, and if I'm using my hands, my fingers, just wipe up the excess so that it doesn't really muddy anything else. So this foundation that I'm using, I've been using for a couple of months now. It's quite nice. It's also from Smashbox. It is the Studio Skin 24-hour wearing hydrating foundation, and it's oil-free, so it won't add any oil, but it will help kind of keep moisture in your skin. It won't make it really dry. It's not a mattifying foundation. It's hydrating, so it is a little bit dewy, which I don't mind because I really like that hydrating element, and then I can just add powder on top of it to like really stick it in place. So I really prefer that to like a matte foundation, which just sucks all the moisture out of my skin. So this is what it looks like. It's pale, like me. So what I like to do, this is a pump foundation, which I actually quite like. I'm pretty sure I'm nearly coming to the end of this, so let's hope we can get enough out of it. But I just like to go directly onto the back of my hand. But I just take that on the sponge, just kind of dot all over my face, forehead, snoot, and on the chin. And then just buff that in. This one is not super full coverage, so I go in a couple of times just to make sure everything is covered and just so I can get the coverage that I like, that I need. And I am in shade 0.3, which is, I think, the third lightest, or it's one of the lightest, but it has a neutral undertone, which is the undertone of my skin. Because there are different types of undertones. There's pinks, there's bluies, there's yellow, there's beige, and I have always kind of been that neutral one. I'm also dragging just a tiny little bit over the top of my eyelids, so that will help create the start of a nice base for any shadow we put down later, and it'll cancel out any veins, any discoloration that anyone might have, which is always nice. And remember to always pull it down the neck. We don't want a mask situation. We do not want to be like Jim Carrey in the mask. Yeah, so the places I really like, but also kind of need to concentrate on are like around the nose area. Just make sure you get under the eyes and then down the neck. Just have a nice, smooth, even kind of base. And make sure you get into the hairline, not all the way back. You don't want to really get it in your hair, but you need to make sure you kind of get those areas, because otherwise you'll just have like a line. And no one likes just like a line of paleness and then a different shade of pale. 50 Shades of Pale. Dat me! So what I like to move on to next is concealer round 2. And I'm pretty sure everyone and their dog has heard of Tarte Shape Tape. So I am in the shade Fair Beige, which I believe is the second lightest shade, because again, look at me, I'm pale. What I like to do is under the eyes, not like super duper too much, just kind of like get a good coverage. Down the nose, a little bit on the chin, a little bit on the forehead, just the places that you want to be highlighted. So this is just bringing more dimension back into the face. And we're just taking the Beauty Blender again, and once more, bluffing that out. Or buffing. And what I can do with the concealer is again, bring that just up over the eyelids and into the inner corner, making sure not to get any in your eye. We don't want that. That would be bad. But again, that can just like lay down a nice even base when we go in to do our eyeshadow. Next is powder. And this step is optional depending on what you like to do with your makeup. But I really like powder because I need it to stay in place for at least 8.5 hours, which is how long my shifts are. So I recently got the Magic Star Setting Powder from Jeffree Star. I'll be using a fair few Jeffree Star products just because I really enjoy them. I enjoy the products, the consistency. The price point isn't too bad either. It depends on where you want to spend your money, what you want to spend your money on. I really like this one. It doesn't really oxidize too much, so I don't look crazy. This is in the shade Fair. I didn't get the straight translucent, but if you want something that just kind of disappears into the skin, the translucent is the best one for that. It smells so nice. So you twist that little thing and you just tap as much or as little as you want into the lid. So this is really, really finely milled. And a lot of people like to use brushes. I really like to use my blender again. So just pick up however much of that I want. And I start with the places that I just laid down the concealer to try and lock it in place so it doesn't crease. I usually get a little bit of creasing under my eyes. That's just me. I've learned to live with it. But this one really doesn't, it doesn't draw out those creases. It doesn't like settle. It kind of does help just fluff it all out. And then I like to just go in a light covering just over the rest of the face, just to lock everything into place. And down the chin as well. Don't forget the neck. Protect your neck. I probably look crazy. Do I look crazy? Do I look crazy, camera 2? Be honest now. I'm sure camera 2 won't lie to me. Like, how cute is this? Like, something that astounds me every single time with Jeffree Star is just the attention to detail on absolutely everything. Whether that is the casing, the packaging, the unicarton, everything is beautiful. And I love that. So, just wiping this off my hands again so they're nice and clean. Because we like cleanliness in this household. Okay, we just finished powdering. So, people can either like let it sit, let it bake. I usually just like to take one of my big brushes. This is my Chanel No. 1 powder brush. These were some of the first like face brushes that I bought. They are like the softest, nicest, most beautiful brushes in the world, and they are very much an investment. They're not like, oh, let's just like pick up some of these brushes. But if you want a really, really good brush that will last you and will feel beautiful all the time, I can highly recommend these ones, and they're so pretty. So what I like to do is just take a big powder brush and just like brush everything off. Not heavily, not harshly, just lightly. So just going over everything, sweeping away any excess. And that just really takes off that excess layer that hasn't completely sunk in. Okay, so once that is done, we can now move on to really warming up the face. I don't usually do a whole lot of contouring or anything like that. I prefer just to do a bit of bronzing to really try and warm up my cheekbones, the outer region of my face, just to add that bit more dimension into it, which is what we're trying to do with contour. So this one is from MAC. It's called Golden Rinse. I'm pretty sure this was part of a limited edition collection from years ago. I really like it. I think it's pretty. It's a nice warm shade. It's not too dark. But if anything ever is too dark, I can show you what I do to try and counteract that. So just pick that up again on a Chanel number 2 powder contour. It's kind of like an angle brush. Tap off the excess. And then I usually just do back here, sweeping up to just kind of create that faux illusion that I have defined cheekbones, because I don't. And the good thing about this one, even though it's quite large, it will really evenly and beautifully blend out that powder for you. Pull back any hair and just go around the outside of the face. Yeah, but this is just a really nice way to kind of warm up the features so I'm not just a flat blob of white. I think it's just really like nice, soft way to build my face, I guess. But if it ever feels like too much, a trick I learned from one of Jeffree Star's close friends and makeup artists, Lipstick Nick, is a technique called veiling. And what you do is you take your beauty blender or makeup sponge or brush or whatever that still has a little bit of excess concealer, foundation on it, whatever, and you can just gently tap that over the top, and that will just veil what you've done to soften it, to blend it out a little bit. Moving on to blush. I am still a bit terrified of blush. I love it, but I think it can overpower me very quickly because I'm a pale girl. So the one I am using is from MAC, and it is called Peaches. And it's this really, really, really just pretty soft, peachy, pinky peach color. But it's really, really lovely. So what I do is I just swirl my blush brush around. Again, tapping off the excess. And then a lot of people like smile because that's where you want the apple in your cheeks. But I like to start off just flat-faced because that's where your face also needs to look okay, because you're not going to be smiling the entire day. You might be, but that hurts. It does. Trust me, from someone whose job is to kind of smile the entire day. So it's good to just start off relatively neutral and just sweep. I usually like to go from kind of the top of the cheekbone area just underneath, sweep it and pull it back. And again, circular motions are really lovely for blending. How's that? Good? Good, camera 2? Stop it. All right, so I really, really love this color. I think it's just so pretty. I really think it suits me. If it doesn't, tell me. I'll get a new one, or I won't. Don't judge me, it's my face. Now moving on to possibly everyone's favorite step is highlighter. I love highlighting so much. It's just so fun, it's so pretty. And it's like, drench me in highlight, please. I love it. I love it so much. So what I'm using is also from MAC. It is from their recent Pony X MAC collection. Pony is a gorgeous South Korean makeup artist, and she recently released an entire collection with MAC. It was beautiful. And I went to like 3 different Meccas to try and find this one highlight because it is so beautiful. It's called Cold Comfort. Like, first of all, can we just like talk about this? Like, it's so pretty. I'm pretty sure she was inspired by tarot cards and really like mystical, kind of slightly ethereal looks. And it is just so stunning. The moon star motif. I'm pretty sure the other one was a more golden shimmer and it had a sun motif. But what I really love about this one is it looks kind of silvery, but it's got this really, really, really stunning, almost purpley blue reflect to it. So again, little what is this one? This is one from Zoeva. I love Zoeva brushes as well. But yeah, again, swirling around, just picking it up, tapping off a little bit of the excess. And I like to start just below the eye on top of the cheekbone. And just kind of swooshing that and then dragging it a little bit up to the temple, not too high, but really focusing just on that top of the cheekbone area. I think that's so stunning and it's so beautiful. Can you see it on my cheek reflecting? It's such a nice shade. I think it is so flattering. It's just such a unique tone and color as well. I don't think I've ever really seen anything quite like this. And what I also like to do is take a little bit just down my nose. So I think that just adds more dimension, because I know people do nose contouring. I don't really do that, and that's fine, but I like to highlight it. And then again, Cupid's bow. I think that just adds a really pretty, cute little sparkle. And if you ever want to really give highlight or anything a bit of extra oomph, what you can do is take it on your brush, take some setting spray. This is Urban Decay's All Nighter. Pretty sure everyone knows about this one. It is a holy grail for many, including myself. You take it, give it a bit of a spritz, and it just really ups the shine. Woo! I'm also doing this right off the back of an iced coffee, so I'm just like, ah! And I'm also going, oh, but that's okay. I'm having fun. So now that is my base, pretty much all done. So what I like to do next, I like to go onto my brows. So what I like to do, I use 3 products on my brows, which might be a lot. I'm not sure. But what I like to do is start out with my MAC pencil. I got this ages ago. It's called Omega in the Volux Brow Liner. And this is really cool because it has the color on one end, but then on the other has a little spoolie. So I like to start out by just brushing out the brows, getting them ready to like be shaped. But once they are brushed out, I take this Benefit Ka-Brow in the shade 1, because I'm not sure if you noticed, but I'm blonde. I know, that's a shock. So this is the palest shade they have. So what I like to do is take this and I just grab a bit of the product. I like to try and not warm it up, but just make sure I'm not going into anything that's too dry. And then I just go in. I start with the front of my brows, just trying to fill this in, using little strokes, trying to get that like faux fluffy look almost. Do that at the top, move my way down, and then I like to kind of pull that down to the tail just to get that nice color. And it looks a bit bizarre because I've definitely pushed down some of my brow hairs. So go back through with the spoolie, and this helps pull that color kind of through and soften it if it's ever too dark anywhere, and just make sure you keep the brows and the hairs in the position you like it. Then what I do is take this pencil, which is a little bit darker, is just go over the top of the brow and kind of darken that a little bit. And I like the way it looks and I like the way it feels. I stand by that statement. A good tip if you ever do need to draw on your brows is everyone always says take a pencil and go to the edge of your nose, and that should be where it starts. So a lot of people go like that for the arch, and that for the tail. So that's a good way to try and map out your brows if you ever do need to draw them on. And then once more, pull that through, soften it, just try and make it look nice. And I always like to brush my brow hairs just up a bit, and then I can shape them around and down. And then the last step is I take this Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter. So this is just a clear brow gel, and it will just hold everything, hopefully, in place. And it does. It's great. So the one looks like this. There's like 3 sides. There's one with longer hairs, there's one with slightly shorter, and then there's the little tip. So I start with taking the longer hairs, running them all the way through the brow, and that just sets down the first kind of layer of that gel. Then you flip over to the second one, and that can really this is where you can like define the shape. This is where you can really pull it through. And then the very, very top of it you can use to get that tail into the shape you want. And you should move relatively quickly if you're using this product, because it does like lock it in. Yep, that's my brow routine. So I'm probably not going to explain it on the other side. I'm just probably going to do this quickly, and we can like maybe try and speed this up with some editing magic. So I just did my other brow. Here they are. Hopefully at least somewhat similar. We'll see. But we're moving on to honestly one of my favorite parts, which is the eyes. And that's why we're all here, because we have these to play with. So I'm thinking today we might just play with the Big Daddy, which is honestly like so beautiful. Like, look at this packaging. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, we all saw this kind of being made. It's beautiful. Look at that rose. But I'm just going to get into playing with this beautiful, stunning creature. But the first thing I like to do is prime again, because a lot of these are pressed pigments. So the best way to catch the color and also to make sure they stick is by using a primer. And this one is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. It's really good. I've been using it for a while. I know a lot of people use the MAC Painterly Paint Pot. I haven't tried that, but I might in the future. And I like to just take that over the lid. So there are so many options for this. It's like so stunning.
What colour speaks to you?
I do want to try just the conspiracy colour. I think that could be gorgeous. So what I might do, okay, what I'm thinking, I might do Tanacon Diet Root Beer as my base and transition, and then maybe do conspiracy and potentially a bit of Illuminatea. We'll see how that goes. So I have a lot of brushes in front of me. Some of them are Morphe, some of them are Zoeva. I will do my best to try and point out what ones they are, how you can use them. And I also yesterday got myself Jeffree Star Morphe brush set. So these are all these beautiful ones. I am going to start by going in with the Morphe X Jeffree Star JS9. So this is a nice fluffy brush. It'll be good for laying down a little bit of starting color and then buffing. So I'm probably just going to start by going into Tanacon. There is a fair bit of kickback, which is okay. I don't mind that, because that means there's a lot of pigment. So you just need it just depends on what you like. So what I like to do is circular windshield wiper motions, because that will help not only lay down the color, then also start the blending process. And I have quite hooded lids, so when I lift them up, even if I've got a lot of color down, it kind of disappears. So what I need to do is then further go up onto the brow bone even to just get that color to appear. It's all about knowing your eye shape, knowing what works for you. But for me, I'm going to sweep this over the crease, over the lid, keep it relatively round, and then take it up onto the brow bone more, not under the brow just yet, but just really kind of creating that lovely base. So see, when I just open my eyes normally, like if I do it like that, looks like there's a lot of colour, but as soon as I open them, it doesn't look as harsh. So I'm going to pop that one down, and then I am going to kind of deepen that crease a bit with my, I'm going to go for a Zoeva 231 Luxe Petite Crease, and I really love this brush for just really defining that crease. So I'm going to go into Diet Root Beer. I've never had Diet Root Beer. I don't think I've ever had root beer. I'm not sure what it's like. And these two colours together, which I'm pretty sure everyone who loves a neutral look knows, are gorge. Just taking that into the outer corner, kind of deepening this crease, and then taking it about halfway to like 2/3 into the crease above the eye, but not all the way into that inner corner, just to create some nice dimension. But that's just a really nice way to kind of deepen it. And if you ever need to then buff it out, you take the first brush again. Oh, these are so nice to hold. And then just really, really gently, lightly buff out and keep blending that corner to just get that gorgeous soft gradient look. So now that I've got that base down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Conspiracy more towards the inner corner, and then Illuminatea more over the center. So I'll start with Illuminatea. Oh, so soft and buttery. Look, it's so beautiful. Oh! Oh my god! Oh, that is so stunning. So I'm just taking that kind of all over the lid from the center to the outer corner. And this doesn't have to be the neatest or the most accurate, because you can always go in with brushes and blend it, which we're going to do later. I absolutely adore this color. And then from there we're going to take Index, because I really like using my fingers with metallic shades. I think it just sets them down really nicely. It gets them lovely pigmented. I'm taking Conspiracy on that one, and then just dragging it from the inner corner over the lid and meeting it in the middle with Illuminatea. I really like that. That's such a nice combination. Oh my god. And I don't usually play with greens because I don't really have too many of them. So I'm really, really excited by these. And what we can do is we can also pull that over where we started Illuminatea to try and blend them together. Because you can always go in and then correct it with your fingers still. I'm gonna wipe them off. And then what we can do is we can take another brush. I will take this MAC 242S, which is a lovely little packing brush. I'm gonna take Conspiracy, take our setting spray, and this will just give it an extra pop, an extra shimmer, and we are gonna pull that slightly over Illuminatea. I really love this brush because it's rounded on the top so you can really follow the crease. This would also be a fantastic brush to cut the crease with if you ever wanted to do that cut crease look. But we are just pulling Conspiracy over Illuminatea to get them to blend together. So it's not just like line. And what I might do as well, I'm going to take another one of those 231 Luxe Petite Crease from Zoeva. I'm going to get a tiny bit of my rides here. This could ruin everything, or it could make it really nice. We're just going to really, really softly deepen this outer corner. Just a teeny tiny little bit, just to get that kind of gradient going. Because I actually quite like that, is take more Diet Root Beer and blend that out into the outer crease. And the thing is, you can always go back in and play it and change it. You don't have to like what you do. You can experiment, you can play. It's makeup, it wipes off. It's not tattooed on yourself forever. Oh god, imagine if like every makeup mistake you ever made was tattooed on you forever. No thank you. I'm going to take just a Theory and just see what happens when I buff it under the lower lash line. As I said, I'm just playing with makeup. That's what I'm here for. This is what this is all about. This is one of my favorite colors, Just a Theory, honestly. So I'm just taking that on the JS11. I'm not sure if I said that already. I'm just shading that, just getting that close to my lash line. And then again, just trying to buff it out a little bit more. And then what I'm thinking, taking my little Luxe Pencil 230, also from Zoeva, taking Ranch, which is this top one, popping that in the inner corner to brighten this look up, and then sweeping that slightly under to meet up with Just a Theory. And that's pretty much one eye done. What I'm going to do now is add mascara to that one just so you see the full effect. And I'll do the other one off camera, come back for the final step. So the mascara I'm using is Benefit's Roller Lash. I think this is such a soft, pretty, very wispy kind of mascara. It's not too volumizing, it more aims on curling and really lifting and separating the lashes. I really, really love it. So that is pretty much one eye all done. I really actually think this is such a pretty look. I think it's really interesting. And I'm going to come back later once the other eye is all done and we'll move on to lips. And I'm back! So this is both eyes done. I actually really, really love how this has turned out. So now it is the final step, which it is the lips. And I think I will go for, I think I might do watermelon soda. I think that could be really, really cute. But first, I have the MAC Prep and Prime Lip Primer. I think it's a really lovely product, one, but also for mattes, it really helps hydrate and make a nice smooth base. So I'm going to start off by applying this one. Oh, it's definitely got like cocoa butter in it because it smells and feels amazing. Okay. And it's been smooth and hydrated. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so that was probably a bit of a struggle, but that's okay. Everyone has struggles with one thing. I think it's confidence. I think it's like a horse. I think it knows I fear it. I really think this is a really cute, bright color. But what I really love to do as well is take Candy Ass, also from Jeffree Star. And this is just such a pretty, like, metallic-y color. And what I'll do is I'll just pop that like, in the center. I use like Candy Ass as a topper gradient with like every color because I think it's so pretty. And it's just soft and subtle, but it adds kind of like a really pretty sheen to everything. And that's basically it. The final step is, of course, setting spray, but actually on my face this time. So this is the final look. It's done! I loved playing with conspiracy so much. I loved just making a video for the first time on this channel for you guys. And I'm really, really pleased with how this whole look has turned out. Thank you so much for watching my first video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below if you have video ideas or what you thought of this look or anything. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.